So here, the value of sheep and alpaca wool exports from Peru to Britain. Here, if you see the dates, Peru in South America to Britain. So Britain needed more wool, so they were importing it from South America. And here, right after the First World War, you are going to see that soaring alpaca wool needed in Britain. The reason they needed more is because of its First World War started. Britain needed to produce a lot of woolen garments for soldiers and other reasons. And then the people in people in East Asia, like Japan, for example, they also demanded more wool to be shipped to Japan. You can also see the increase preceding this period of First World War, and that is because Britain was the main source of wool supplies to place in Japan. But then, because of the First World War, those supplies from Britain were interrupted. So during this period, like 14 to 20s, Japan is going to establish their own wool industry association, and they are going to diversify sources of import. So they will go to Australia. As you can imagine, Australia is in Pacific Ocean, right? Not very far from Japan. And then they were not affected by the First World War. They were very far away, right? So from Europe. So Australia becomes a main element. So you can see more and more there are demands for woolen textile, luxury textiles. And what do they make in? They make muslin out of wool. And then eventually they can also use the wool muslin to make kimonos, women's kimonos as well. And if you go to Korea, 1920s, the European suits are very popular. So you are going to see the advertisement like this. And what they are showing here is seasonal. So if you have, fall and winter, it's almost like the fashion, right? For winter collection, they show this. And then you have like a spring, summer coming up, then you also show. But these companies, it's the same store. It's in Jongno. So that's why they named themselves as a Jongno Tailors. They are now running more than 100 years. They were established 1918 or so. And then now, as you can see, they are over 100 years old. So they still exist in Jongno, the main fashion streets. So 1920s, being a tailor for a man was a very lucrative business. It's a new industry. It's almost like being a these days, blockchain currency dealer or something. It's totally new. It didn't exist, let's say, 10 years ago, and they see a lot of business opportunity, right? Like it's a trend. So that they also have a new modern sales technique. So here in the one of those advertisements says they want to give, let's say, the discount. It says a 3 discount, but I don't know what is it 3%? No, I think it's like a 30%. You know, they are giving discount, and they carry this kind of views. So if you see 1920s advertisement, you can see that jazz age, right? Like the women's fashion with that round hat, and then the geometric patterns, and that like that slim H-line silhouette, right? But in reality, not many women went to the tailor. Women, if that clothing pattern is available, they can easily make one at home. because in high school since 1910s, all the women of respective schools, they learn how to sew. So if you have patterns available in women's magazines, they can easily make their own clothes. But men, they definitely should go to where is it, the tailors. And I think they copied these images from an American newspaper or something, because these are not Asian models. And then there are more. So Jongno Tailor is the most famous and prominent one. And then you have other companies too. So this is Jungang Tailors, and this is Hae-in-ok Tailors, and these are all in Seoul, South Korea. And you will see that Norfolk style casual like a wear, right? Like there is a gathering of over the waist, and then you have a pocket, more like a hunting or yachting, you know, those kind of leisurely activities. They are selling those. Or again, the winter came. Winter is a big season for tailoring because people want to get the overcoat. So you can see that even women's coat and men's, you know, what is it, like a winter suit that you needed to get it. And then here they are offering 20% discount if you come now. But then you will see that if you cannot afford having a new set of suit, what will you do? You are going to use the used clothes. Do you recognize the American flag here? Yeah. So here, this advertisement tells us that people can buy used clothes from the USA at a very cheap price. And imagine that, you know, you have this advertisement almost together with this advertisement, and you will compare the price, and you will say, well, the used clothes are much cheaper, and this is also coming from the USA. So they would go for this as well. So these are raincoat or the vest. And then depending on the type of garment, you have different prices. And then also what Japanese colonial government forced the Korean people to do is to generate more raw materials. So there is a policy called cotton in the south and wool in the north. So cotton plants, right, of trees, they grow well in the southern part of Korean Peninsula. And then sheep, these are given to farmers in the northern side of Korean Peninsula, so that each each household was given, let's say, 10 sheep, and they have to maintain those 10 sheep and give that fur to the Japanese government. So that was the Japanese attempt of creating more raw size. And as you can see, you know, the war is going to be intensified from 1937. Japan invaded Manchu of China, so they needed a lot more supplies for those war efforts. And then eventually you are facing 1939, Second World War all over the place. And Japan will go into the war against the US from 1940. They attacked the Pearl Harbor in Hawaii.